Alrighty, it is time to go live and have a chat about search engine optimization, or what determines Google search engine results, or any search engine results for that matter. Now, this is probably something that's more difficult to answer than we'd like, because we don't really know exactly what the search engines are going to use to rank our websites. However, there are about 200 known, I want to call them signals, that the search engines have told us, or Google has told us, that they're looking for when they're looking at where they place your website in search results. Now, we're going to use an actual live demonstration here of a website that I've been optimizing for many years. And it's maxmyprofit.com.au. It's my other business. It's my business coaching and training business. And we've been working on optimizing that website for many, many years. And so what we have learned is we've learned about what are some of the things that work well versus what don't. Now, to give an understanding of what or why this is important, is that when someone does a search, you want to try and come up on the first page of Google. And I'm going to share my screen with you because I want you to see, um, some some information about this website I'm talking about. So this is a tool we use that allows us to see how a website is performing within a search engine environment. And this is maxmyprofit.com.au. So this is our business coaching website. You can go and check this out if you want. And there's a few factors straight away that this tells us. And anybody who does a discovery call with me, a digital marketing roadmap session with me, which I'll talk to you about at the end, will get access to this information, not just for their website, but some of their competitors as well. But I'll quickly show you what's going on here. If I just zoom in, you'll see that there's this UR rank and DR rank. This is a URL ranking and a domain ranking. And these are two factors that are made up of many things that Google looks for. The URL ranking is essentially, if I just hover over the information there, it shows you the strength of a target page's link profile on a 100-point scale. And then the domain ranking says it shows you the strength of a target website's backlink profile. Now, that's technical jargon that you probably don't understand, but essentially what you want to do is make your website just really user friendly, and make sure that there's heaps of great content on there that people want to share on their website or on their social media platforms, etc. Because then what will happen is you'll end up with lots of these things just organically occurring. If you try and force this in your in your attempt to get on the first page of Google, you can actually do more damage than good, because Google doesn't like it when you try and manipulate things, of course. But essentially, you want a good URL ranking, a good domain ranking. That comes from backlinks. You can see we've got 3,380 backlinks and a whole bunch of referring domains. And then you can see that these, we rank for 4,200 keywords, which gives us 1,700 visitors per month. And what this means that we're getting about $2,500 a month worth of free traffic. Okay, traffic that we would normally have to pay Google Ads for, we get that for free to our website. Now, this does not happen easily. It's through having a lot of, putting a lot of effort into understanding what people are searching for. So if you look at how we've done this, if you come to our website, I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that you need to do. Probably 8 to 10 things you can do right now that'll start to make a big impact on where you rank on Google. And that way you can try and show up on the first page of search results. Now, for example, this business is a business coaching and training business that we've had for many years. One of the things that does attribute to your search engine rankings is the age of your domain. So, this domain was registered, I think, in 2013 or 2014. So it's almost 10 years old, that domain. If you were to register a domain today and try and compete with me to get on the first page of Google, that would be one thing that would go against you. It wouldn't mean that you couldn't compete with me. You wouldn't be able to do it on day one. It would just be a matter of time. Now, there's a couple of things that are going on here. There's a lot of factors come into play, but I'll just give you some key things. First of all, is up here, there's a title for your website and for your homepage. And then there's what's called H1 tags, which essentially is just headings on your website. So, for example, you can see that this heading here the word business coaching is in bold. It's actually what's called a H1 tag. So it tells Google what the page is a bit about. And then, down in sort of the descriptions, you might have some information about what you're doing, but you want to put the keywords in there. So the keywords need to be sort of scattered throughout your copy on your page. The thing to think about when you're understanding Google is that if you try and stuff your keywords in your page and you make your page so it's not user friendly, that'll actually affect your URL rating. So you want to make sure that you're still building the page for user experience, but putting your keywords in there wherever you can to make it work well. A good trick, and one of the things that we did that worked really well, is that we created what's called a pillar page, and this one here answers a lot of the frequently asked questions about business coaching. And so, it's a long page, lots and lots of text, but it works really well because it's a page that has lots of information on it that people like to read about business coaching. Once again, you can see this great big title here, the words business coaching. And so what it does is it helps you rank for things like business coaching. Now, the other thing that we have is we have a blog. And our blog has, I think, about 1,800 articles now, maybe more, maybe 2,000 articles. And this also helps with search engine ranking. So once again, it's super helpful content. And some of this is written about, business coaching or training. Some of it is just, things that relate to people that might be thinking about business coaching. So business owners, 10 business books you must read if you're starting out, or, 31 ways to grow your business in 2021, or how much does a small business coach cost, for example. So if we go across here and we put in here and say, how much is business coaching? Let's just put that in there to Google. The idea is when you think about the intent of that search, the intent of that search is quite high if someone's typing that into Google. So you always get some ads, and you can always buy some ads, but less people will click on ads than will click on organic results. And then what you want to do is you want to try and get yourself on first page of Google. So you can see that there's a competitor ahead of us. That's Action Coach. They're a big international organization. Then there's these featured snippets. Savvy SME, which is quite a good, information resource. Bark.com, which is a sort of a new emerging site to buy leads. And then you can see Max My Profit comes up. So what you want to try and do is get yourself on the first page. You want to try and be in those first few organic results. And, there's lots of searches like this that you can do that for. So the only way you can do that is by making sure that your website is nice and user-friendly, that the keywords that relate to what it is you're trying to attract to your website are sort of scattered throughout your website in places that make sense. Don't just stuff the keywords in, and that you have lots of helpful information, sort of like this page on business coaching, and that will help you rank a lot better when it comes to search engine results. Now, I've got a bit of a list of some things here that I'll go through. Now, I will say that there's lots of great resources on the internet to learn about what signals Google is looking for. But what I suggest you do is you just focus on a few key things. And I've just given you a few just by showing you, our website and how we've gone about making sure that we're ranking for the keywords we want. But let me just talk to you through a few things here from my notes that I've got of the main key ranking factors. So you can sort of work on your website and get the right things happening. So first of all, content is the number one thing. I think the content that is helpful and relatable and it's valuable. So when you're putting content in your website, just ask yourself, does this content help my prospective customer if they come across it? And rather than writing your website so it's just all about you and your business, write content that is going to help your prospective customer, whether it's deciding what to buy, how to buy it, where to buy it, what type to buy. If it's a problem that you solve, maybe how your product helps them solve the problem, maybe case studies, really helpful information. Okay. If your content is valuable, and maybe it could be statistics, it could be, there's lots of different things that are valuable, right? But if you think about the sort of content that you find useful when you do a Google search, so start paying attention when you do a search, what comes up on the first page and why that was helpful. When you clicked on it, if you thought it was helpful, why you thought it was helpful, and try and replicate that in your own business. The second tip I'll give you is to go in depth on some things. So I showed you that what we call a pillar page, and a pillar page is not a new thing, but a pillar page answers many questions and goes in depth about something. And it will take you a long time to create, but it will be worthwhile, a good investment of your time and money, because what it means is that you'll have some information on your website that is very compelling for people to read, to share, and that is super helpful, and Google loves that, right? Google loves to know that you're helping them, because if you think about Google's business model, their business model is to keep people using Google as much as possible, because Google searches is what leads to the clicking on ads, and 98% of Google's revenue comes from people clicking on ads, right? So they want to make sure users keep coming back. So it's really important. The other thing is that um, a part of where you rank on the search engine is how clickable your search engine result is. So you want to make sure that you're putting things that are really relevant in keywords. So, for example, um, when you um, let's have a look at this. Actually, I'll go back and share my screen just to give you an example, because that's probably the best way to do this. So when we did this search for how much should business coaching cost, I want to show you why we'll probably continue to move up. One of the challenges here is this particular company here is actually answering a different question. How much should you charge as a business coach? As we're down here, you can see how much does business coaching cost in Australia. And you can see here how much does business coaching cost is what we've got there. And then in the what's called the meta description, you can see that there's actually the pricing in there. And so Google looks at that, right? So we've got a very well matched title for our page. Okay, that's what's called a title, and it's part of the blog, but it's a web page. And then in our meta description, you can see that we actually answer the question. And so Google likes to see that when you're thinking about optimizing a part of your website. Okay, so just make sure you think that through as you do that, and that'll give you better results, because you're more likely to show up on the search results if you are. Let me just see if I can find that my notes again. I've lost them. Here we go. If you can make sure that your title is really relevant and the meta tag, and that way you've got a more clickable description showing up in the Google search, and the more clickable it is, the more clicks you'll get, and the more likely Google will show you up on those first pages. So it might test you there for a bit, and if you get the click-throughs, it'll keep putting you there. So I've already mentioned the keywords in your titles. Make sure that you do that. That is probably one of the key things that Google looks for to see what your page is about. The other thing is content length. There was always some contention around whether short form or long form content. Look, if it's super helpful, I don't think it actually matters that much, but typically longer content is more helpful with photos, diagrams, and et cetera, that can help as well. That domain authority that I showed you before, the UR ranking and the DR ranking, are both very important. They take a long time to develop, and you need an SEO agency to help you do that typically, or either that or you need really good content. We actually never used an SEO agency. We just kept writing really good content and very shareable content, and that worked really well for us. So that gives you a lot of backlinks from some reliable sources. Now, having said that, guest blog posting on other people's websites that are very, well regarded. So, for example, we've written some articles that are on Koshi's Business Builder, written for Virgin In-Flight magazine, and we were on Virgin's In-Flight Entertainment. So we've got some links back from the Virgin Airlines website. Same with Qantas. We're on their business radio. So things like that. If you can get links back from really reputable websites back to your website, that helps as well. So that's a strategy. It's obviously very time consuming, and you need somebody who's very good at doing the reaching out and contacting. Quite often agencies will do that for you. That'll help you. Then there's some technical things that are really important to think about. Things like making sure your website works on mobile devices. Google doesn't want people to have a bad experience, right? So if your website doesn't load on mobile devices, it's unlikely to show up on mobile devices. So make sure that, and this is pretty much most websites do these days, but I still see some that haven't been optimized for mobile devices. So you can go to a website called responsinator.com. and you can put your website into that, and it will show you how it appears on a mobile device. And it has many different mobile devices. There's lots of tools for that, but that's the one that I find works really well. So you could use that, and you just want to make sure that it works well on a mobile device. And the other thing is page speed loading time. So if you've got images that are really big, for example, and this is a common mistake we see people making, is that they'll take a 3 megabyte image and they'll stick that on their website, when really all you need is a 600 pixel wide image that might be 83 kilobytes. You want things that are going to load very fast. Most website builders these days will tell you if something that you've put up there is going to cause issues, but just make sure that you're thinking about some of these things. Now, there's some real high level things that I've given you today. Some food for thought is probably the best way to think about that, because you know they're going to help. There's no magic wand or quick fix when it comes to SEO. It does take time, it takes money, it takes an investment of both of those things and a commitment long term to get results. However, as I've shown you with the example of our website, you know, we get $2,500 worth of free traffic every month as a result of the work that we've put in previously. And you know, we had a fairly sort of structured process and strategy for doing that. And it's paying dividends now because we get lots of organic traffic. So you just got to think about, you know, with your website, you know, if you've set it up just to be an electronic brochure, you've probably done yourself an injustice. You need to go back and think about, how do I help people that are finding this organically and make sure that they have a good experience when they hit my website, they get the information that they're after, and then Google will start to give you some sort of preferences. Having said all of that, we do have a guide that will give you lots of free traffic from Google using Google My Business. Because if your website, it is a long term, it's a marathon, right? Getting your website on page 1 for Google search results is tricky, and you know it's a constant race because your competitors are trying to do the same things if they're smart. And what it means is that you've got to constantly fight for that page 1 position. The other way you can really get there fast is with your Google Business Profile, or what used to be called Google My Business. It's now your Google Business Profile. Essentially, it's where your business is listed on Google Maps. It allows you to do so much more than what you used to be able to do. You can upload images, you can have articles, you can have products, services, you can showcase things on there. And Google wants you to do that. And the more active you are there, along with getting reviews, the more likely they're going to highlight your product or service on the first page of Google when someone does a search. So Google My Business is one of the things that comes up with the Google Map sort of listing. So we've got a guide. It's an 8-step tutorial that shows you the 8 different steps to getting your business to show up for more Google searches and get free traffic. So we're going to share a link to that right now in the chat, which is digitlc.com.au/Google Guide. You can download that absolutely for free. Yes, you're going to join my database and you'll get other emails afterwards. If you don't want those, simply unsubscribe. I will not be offended, but grab yourself the guide, because the guide will take you through 8 steps to get more traffic from Google for free. And at the very least, if you do that, if your website is brand new, you've got a new domain, you've got a lot of work to do, you haven't been doing anything to help get yourself on the first page, it's going to take you a long time. As where with your Google My Business listing, and we help a lot of people optimize there, it can take a good 6 to 8 hours. But if you do it properly, within a week, you can be showing up on the first page of Google for really, really hot intent searches for people that are looking to buy your product or service. So I highly recommend that you download that guide and you jump into that. The other thing that I'll extend to you is the offer to have a chat with me. If you want some help getting your SEO sorted, getting your digital marketing sorted, maybe you just want to have a look behind the sort of the curtains and just see how your website does rank. Like I said, we've got that tool that we have. Most agencies have something like that, but more than happy to have a discovery call with you. We'll also pop that link down in the chat box. It's a 15-minute chat with myself. There's no obligation. If we both agree that there's something that we can do together, I'll book you in for a more in-depth chat that we'll do somewhere down the track. Called my digital marketing roadmap session. It's about a 90-minute session, but don't worry, we're not going to do that straight up. We just do the 15-minute call first, see if we're a good fit. If I can help you, then I'll book you in for that next session. If not, I'll politely let you know. But at the very least, you'll get some ideas, and we can have a quick look at that tool, and I can tell you sort of how your website's performing and what work you need to do. So make sure you book in for that. All right. Hopefully you found today's video helpful. If you did, make sure that you hit the thumbs up button and leave a comment down in the comments below. Let me know if you've enjoyed the content and if you found it helpful, and good luck with getting your website or your business on the first page of Google. It's the place to be. Nobody ever goes to page 2. So you want to be on page 1 if you can make it happen. All right. Until next time, take care. See ya.